Philosophy is one of the oldest and deepest disciplines of thought in human history. Fundamentally, it is the human questioning of existential questions and the search for meaning about the nature of the universe. Philosophy seeks to understand the human quest for knowledge, values, and ethical principles, the structure of the universe, and man's place in it. Philosophy has its origins in ancient Greece. Philosophers such as Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle explored fundamental concepts such as knowledge, virtue, justice, and happiness. Their ideas had a profound influence on Western philosophy, creating a legacy that continues to this day. The fields of philosophy are many and varied. Metaphysics is concerned with the nature of reality and the foundations of being, while epistemology examines the nature and source of knowledge. Ethics examines what is right and wrong and how human behavior should be judged. Aesthetics is concerned with beauty and the nature of art. Philosophy is also closely related to other disciplines. It intersects with and contributes to the development of fields such as science, mathematics, religion, politics, and psychology. Today, philosophy is still recognized as an important tool for seeking answers to deep human questions. In everyday life as well as in academic circles, philosophical thought shapes people's worldviews and helps them make sense of their lives. Philosophy pushes the boundaries of the human mind, challenging prejudices and allowing us to expand intellectually. As such, philosophy is a universal heritage of humanity and will continue to play an important role in the human quest for knowledge. History of philosophy, from antiquity to modernity. The history of philosophy is closely linked to the evolution of human thought and has seen important developments in different periods. When philosophy was born in ancient Greece, it was characterized by the love of wisdom and the pursuit of knowledge. Ancient Greek philosophy. Philosophy has its origins in the wisdom tradition that emerged in Anatolia and Mesopotamia in the Eastern Mediterranean in the 6th century BC. However, the development of philosophy took place mainly in ancient Greece. Socrates' inquisitive method, Plato's theory of ideas, and Aristotle's work on knowledge and logic are important philosophical contributions of this period. Philosophy of the Middle Ages. Although ancient Greek philosophy was overshadowed in Europe by the fall of the Roman Empire, it had a major impact on the Islamic world in the Middle Ages. Islamic philosophers developed new philosophical perspectives, particularly by combining the works of Aristotle with Greek philosophy. During this period, philosophers such as Ibn Sina and Averroes made important contributions to the fields of logic, metaphysics, and science. Renaissance and modern philosophy. Towards the end of the Middle Ages, the Renaissance began in Europe, and interest in ancient Greek and Roman culture was revived. During this period, fundamental questions such as the nature of man, the source of knowledge, and the structure of the universe were re-examined. Philosophers such as Descartes, Kant, Hume, and Leibniz laid the foundations of modern philosophy and engaged in in-depth reflection on knowledge, being, and ethics. Contemporary philosophy. In the 20th century, philosophy entered a new era with the emergence of various movements such as analytic philosophy, existentialism, phenomenology, and postmodernism. During this period, the philosophy of language and logic established close links with disciplines such as computer science and cognitive science and expanded the field of philosophy. The history of philosophy serves as a map to trace the evolution of human thought. The emergence of different philosophical currents in different cultures and epochs reflects the complex and varied experiences of humanity. Ancient Greek philosophy, the birth of wisdom. The ancient Greek period is an important time for the birth and development of philosophy. The thinkers of the time began to ask deep questions about the nature of man and the universe, laying the foundations of philosophy. The school of Meletus and natural philosophy. The beginning of ancient Greek philosophy is usually associated with a group of philosophers known as the school of Meletus. Thinkers such as Thales, Anaximander, and Anaximenes investigated the underlying principle of the universe. Thales argued that everything is made of water. Anaximander developed the concept of the apeiron, which is infinite, and Anaximenes argued that an element such as air is fundamental. These thinkers initiated natural philosophy, physics, believing that there was a physical principle underlying nature. Athens and the Sophists. Ancient Greek philosophy also underwent an important development in Athens. During this period, philosophers called Sophists focused on rhetoric and argumentation. Protagoras introduced the idea of relativism by saying that man is the measure of all things. Socrates, on the other hand, argued that wisdom was an inner commitment to knowledge and that a virtuous life was equivalent to knowledge. Socrates' method, however, led to his prosecution and execution for criticizing the Athenian government. Plato and Aristotle. Among the most influential figures in ancient Greek philosophy are Plato and Aristotle. Plato developed the theory of ideal forms and explained the nature of knowledge through metaphors such as the allegory of the cave. Aristotle, on the other hand, developed an approach to knowledge based on observation and experience, and made in-depth studies in many fields, from metaphysics to philosophical logic and ethics. Ancient Greek philosophy is considered a critical period in the development of human thought and wisdom. The ideas of the thinkers of this period profoundly influenced Western thought, creating a legacy that continues to this day. Medieval philosophy. The relationship between religion and reason. The Middle Ages is a period in European history marked by Christianity and scholastic philosophy. Philosophy in this period often developed in close association with theology and was characterized by the attempt to provide an understanding of the Christian faith through reason. Augustine and the Church Fathers. The foundations of medieval philosophy can be found in the works of early Christian thinkers. Augustine analyzed man's relationship with God and had a profound influence on Christian thought with works such as Proximity to God. Other thinkers, known as the Church Fathers, also developed philosophical arguments to strengthen the foundations of the Christian faith. Scholastic philosophy. During the Middle Ages, a movement called scholastic philosophy developed. This movement sought to synthesize ancient philosophy with Christian doctrine. Thinkers such as Thomas Aquinas tried to combine Aristotle's ideas with Christian theology. Aquinas stressed the harmony between reason and faith, arguing that reason is the book of nature and faith is the book of God. Averroes and Islamic philosophy. During the Middle Ages, important philosophical developments took place in the Islamic world. Islamic philosophers such as Ibn Rushd, Averroes, influenced Islamic thought by interpreting the works of Aristotle. Ibn Sina, Avicenna, and other Islamic philosophers also made deep connections between philosophy, theology, and science. Medieval philosophy is an important period in the development of human thought, focusing on the relationship between reason and faith. Both the scholastic tradition and Islamic philosophy reflect the diversity and richness of medieval thought. Renaissance and modern philosophy, rebirth and anthropocentrism. The Renaissance period marks a cultural and intellectual rebirth in Europe. It is characterized by a revival of ancient Greek and Roman culture and a great advance in philosophy, art, and science. Human centrality. The Renaissance is a period of the development of a human-centered perspective. philosophers, artists and scientists focused on understanding the nature and place of man. Niccolò Machiavelli sought to understand human nature and power and advocated a realist approach to politics. Leonardo da Vinci made extensive studies of human anatomy and nature, and with his Vitruvian Man claimed that man was the measure of the universe. Descartes and rationalism. It is generally accepted that the foundations of modern philosophy were laid with Descartes' statement, cogito ergo sum, I think, therefore I am. Descartes developed rationalism by emphasizing the truth of knowledge gained through reason. Subsequent philosophers developed this approach by arguing that reason and logic are the basis of human knowledge, empiricism and science. In the modern period, empiricism also emerged as a major philosophical movement. Philosophers such as John Locke, David Hume and George Berkeley argued that experience and the senses are the source of knowledge. This approach played an important role in the development of science and the scientific method, and deepened the relationship between science and philosophy. The Renaissance and modern periods mark a human-centered shift in the history of philosophy, deep reflections on the nature of man. The sources of knowledge and the structure of the universe formed the basis of modern thought. Contemporary philosophy, diversity and critical thinking. Contemporary philosophy usually covers the period from the beginning of the 20th century to the present day, and is characterized by great diversity and change in philosophical thought. Philosophy in this period includes many movements such as natural science, linguistics, phenomenology, existentialism, analytic philosophy, and postmodernism. Phenomenology and existentialism. The early 20th century saw the emergence of philosophical movements such as phenomenology and existentialism. Edmund Husserl developed phenomenology, the study of phenomena as pure consciousness. Martin Heidegger questioned the meaning of existence from an existentialist perspective, exploring the existential experience of human beings in works such as Being and Time. Analytical philosophy. Analytical philosophy gained considerable influence in the mid-20th century, especially in British and American universities. This movement aimed to reformulate philosophy by emphasizing the analysis of language and logical thought. Thinkers such as Bertrand Russell, Ludwig Wittgenstein, and Willard van Orman Quine laid the foundations of analytical philosophy and made in-depth studies of semantics, epistemology, and philosophical logic. Postmodernism. Postmodernism emerged as an important movement in contemporary philosophy in the second half of the 20th century. It is characterized by the questioning of universal reality and absolute truths. Thinkers such as Jean-François Lyotard, Michel Foucault, and Jacques Derrida criticized modernist thought, emphasizing meta-narratives, power relations, and the structure of language. Contemporary philosophy is a period of deepening and broadening of philosophical thought in various aspects. Discussion and interaction between different currents ensures the continuous development of philosophical thought. Philosophy pushes the limits of the human mind, challenges prejudices, and allows us to expand intellectually. Therefore, philosophy is a universal heritage of mankind and will always play an important role in the human quest for knowledge. We will continue to talk about the past, present, and future of philosophy. Stay tuned for more content on philosophy. Don't forget to like and follow.